Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 21, verses 9 and 10. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good, and be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor preferring one another. Burkett notes, the foregoing exhortations respected church officers in particular. These that now follow concern all Christians in general and acquaint them with their duty in common conversation. He begins with the grace and duty of love, that being a radical grace, the root from which all other graces and duties spring and flow. This love to one another, the Holy Ghost requires that it be without dissimulation, that is, sincere and unfeigned, not in word and tongue only, but in deed and truth. Also that it be an affectionate and tender, as well as an unfeigned and sincere love. Be kindly affectioned one to another. The word signifies such an affectionate tenderness as a mother bears to the fruits of her womb, and as creatures bear to their young, and no wonder that such a fervent love is required when laying down our lives for the brethren is commanded. 1 John 3:16. Likewise, that our love to others do incline us to give preference unto others, really conceiving others to be more worthy of honor than ourselves, and rejoicing to see them placed in a more useful and honorable post than ourselves. Yet observe, though our love must be hot towards our neighbor, it must not hinder us from abhorring that which is sinful and evil in our neighbor. Love without dissimulation, and abhor that which is evil. When we love the persons, we must hate the vices of men. The love of our friends must not make us in love with their faults, nor must the hatred of men's vices draw us off from delighting in and cleaving to that which is good in any man. Abhor that which is evil, and cleave to that which is good. Verse 11. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Burkett notes, the next duty exhorted to is diligence and industry in all our duties, both to God and man, but particularly in the duties of our calling. We must avoid the two extremes of slothfulness on the one hand and excessive drudgery on the other, in the management of our secular affairs and worldly business. But in the service of God we must be fervent, as in the service of the world we must not be slothful. What is done for the world is best done with indifferency, but what is done for God is best done with warmth and fervency, or not done at all. Our most ardent affections and active powers must be employed in His service, for to be cold and careless therein disparages His excellency, and will defeat our own expectation. We must be fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, and may not be slothful in business, serving the world. Verse 12. Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. Burkett notes, the apostle next directs the converted Romans how they should manage themselves under afflictions, namely, to endure them patiently, to rejoice in hope of present deliverance or future happiness, and, in order to both, to be much in duty of prayer. Learn hence that hope, patience, and prayer are powerful supports under all afflictions, and will render them not only tolerable, but joyous. By patience we possess ourselves. By hope we possess God. By prayer we enable both. Verse 13. Distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality. Burkett notes, the next duty exhorted to is that of charity and almsgiving to the poor members of Jesus Christ, especially when under persecution, showing hospitality towards them and giving entertainment to them when they seek it of us. Learn 1. The charity to all persons, but especially to the persecuted members of Jesus Christ, is a necessary and important duty. Learn 2. That hospitality is an eminent part of Christian charity. True hospitality, which is accompanied with prudence and sobriety. There is a wide difference between riotous housekeeping and true hospitality. The latter is always designed for the help of the poor, and particularly the godly poor. There are great housekeepers who are not good housekeepers, because their housekeeping is for the great rather than the good, not for the household of faith, especially not for the poor of that household. As to spirituals, God fills the hungry with good things, but sends the rich empty away. Whereas most men, as to corporals, fill the rich with their good things, with the fat and the sweet, but send the poor, if not away empty, yet relieved only with the sweepings of their table. This is not according to the precept before us, distributing to the necessities of the saints, and given to hospitality. Verse 14. Bless them which persecute you, bless and curse not. Burkett notes, the apostle, having taught us our duty to friends in the former verse, teaches us duty here towards our enemies. Bless them that persecute you. That is, pray for them and wish well to them, whatever provocation you may have to the contrary. Learn hence, 1. That good men must make account of and prepare for persecution, either the persecution of the tongue or of the hand, or of both. Learn, 2. That it is their duty ever to bless, never to curse, their persecutors and opposers. Bless, but curse not. Or note that the apostle doubles this exhortation, bless your persecutors, bless and curse not. This doubling the exhortation shows both the difficulty of the duty and how contrary it is to the corrupt nature, and so also the constancy of duty. We must ever bless and never curse. Always wish well, never any ill, to the worst of men. Take we great heed of giving way to secret wishes of hurt to our enemy. God forbid that we should hurt ourselves by sinful passion, because others hurt us by slander and false accusation. We are naturally prone to speak ill of others, and to wish ill to others with delight. This sin, persisted in, shuts out of heaven as well as murder. Verse 15. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Burkett notes, the next duty required is Christian sympathy and mutual affection between brethren, both in prosperity and adversity, to rejoice in one and to mourn together in the other, as being members of the same body, teaching us that it is a good Christian's duty to rejoice in those good things, whether inward or outward, which befall his brethren, and also to mourn and lay to the heart all those afflictions and sorrows, whether inward or outward, which come upon them. But Lord, how far are they from this duty who, instead of mourning for the sufferings of others, are glad at calamity, rejoice at the downfall of others. Oh, help us to lay the troubles of others to heart, when we ourselves are freest and furthest from trouble. Let us weep with them that weep, and rejoice with, etc. The gospel acquaints us with the pity of God towards us, and presses us to pity one another. Verse 16. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Burkett notes, in these words, be ye of the same mind towards one another, are an exhortation to unity among Christians. This is threefold, as unity of the head, or a unity of judgment and opinion, and a unity of the heart, or a unity in love and affection, and a unity of tongue, which is a unity of expression. Happy we, when in all these respects we are of the same mind, one towards another. Observe next the hindrances of mutual concord and unity among Christians. They are 2. 1. Pride. Mind not high things. 2. Arrogancy. Be not wise in your own conceits. Mind not high things, that is, mind not preferment, nor riches, nor vainglory, but be content with and thankful for a middle state and condition in the world, which is far more eligible and desirable than a state of riches, plenty, and abundance, as being less liable to temptations. And be not wise in your own conceits, that is, entertain humble thoughts of your own knowledge. Think it not greater than it is. Take heed of an overweening opinion of your own wisdom, as if you wanted neither divine assistance and guidance, nor yet the advice and counsel of your brethren. Man is naturally a proud creature, but more proud of the endowments of his mind than of those that adorn his body. Verse 17. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. Burkett notes, by evil here we are to understand wrongs and private injuries. By not recompensing them is meant not revenging them. Corrupt nature is very prone to return wrong for wrong, one ill turn for another. But Christianity sets a nobler pattern before us, even the example of him who when he was revealed not again. When he suffered, he threatened not. 1 Peter 2:23. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. Having exhorted them before to be careful of their conversations towards God, he now presses them to be watchful over their conversations before the world, that by honesty and innocency of life they may cut off all occasion from the enemies of religion to speak evil of them and their holy profession, that all their words and actions be justifiable and unexceptionable, to that degree that the heathens may be in love with Christianity by observing their lives and actions to be holy and honest. Learn hence that a Christian must carefully look not only to his conscience, but to his conversation, that his conscience be holy and upright in the sight of God, and his conversation honest and unblameable before men. The world cannot discern our hearts, but they can soon discover the errors of our lives, and will throw the dirt of our sins upon religion's face. Therefore, we had need provide things honest in the sight of all men. Verse 18. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Burkitt notes, observe here, 1, the duty directed and exhorted to, namely, peaceableness. Live peaceably, that is, be of a peaceable temper and follow those things which make for peace. Observe, 2, the extent and latitude of this duty. With all men, live peaceably, not with friends only, or with those of your own judgment and persuasion, but with men of disagreeing humors and interests, with men of different principles and apprehensions from you. Again observe 3, a double restriction and limitation with which it is bounded. First, if it be possible, implying that there is a sort of men in the world who make peace impossible, but for others, if it may be enjoyed upon honest terms, though upon hard terms, we must not stick at them, always remembering that peace and truth are two precious things which can never be bought too dear if they be not purchased with sin and baseness. The second restriction follows, as much as in you lieth. Now this respects our endeavors, not our success. If we follow peace with all men, though we cannot overtake it, yet we shall not miss of our reward in pursuing it. Peace is the most important duty, a singular benefit and blessing, which every Christian is bound to pursue and promote, and that with all men, if it be possible, etc. Verse 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Burkitt notes, observe here how the apostle renews his exhortation to all Christians to watch against the sin of private and personal revenge. He urged it before, verse 17. He reinforces it here, verse 19, thereby showing how prone our corrupt natures are to commit this sin, and how hard the contrary duty is to flesh and blood. The heathen reckoned revenge to be part of justice, and ranked it among the number of their virtues. But the Scriptures require that instead of revenging an injury, we remit and forgive it. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves. It follows, rather give place unto wrath. What wrath, or whose wrath? Answer, give place to your own wrath, say some interpreters. Give way a little, and turn aside from the person you are angry with, and do not suffer your anger to hurry you away to revenge. Give place to your wrath of those that wrong you, say others. Decline their wrath, and give not word for word, which will but add fuel to the fire and oil to the flame. But it seems best to understand it of God's wrath. Leave the matter to God. He will right your cause. Do not take God's work out of his hand, but suffer him to come in with his wrath upon your enemies who wrong and injure you. Rather, give place to the wrath of God against them. For vengeance is his, and he will repay it. Learn hence that such who have suffered wrong do seek to revenge themselves, taking a revenging work out of God's hand, whereas if they leave the matter with God, his justice will right them fully. Verse 20. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt reap coals of fire on his head. Burkitt notes, as if the apostle had said, Instead of revenge, render kindness. Return courtesies for injuries. Affability for affronts. If thine enemy hunger, feed him. The words, as some critics observe, signify to feed cheerfully and tenderly, as birds feed their young ones. So doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head. By coals of fire, some understand a heart-melting fire, as if the apostle had said, by thy kindness thou wilt melt and mollify his spirit towards thee, as hardest metals are melted by the coals of fire. It must be a very stony heart indeed that this fire will not melt, a very disingenuous nature that meekness will not mollify. Clemency will melt an enemy, and even force him by a sweet compulsion to become a friend, though of a rough and rugged disposition. 2. By coals of fire heaped upon the head, others understand a sin-punishing fire. Thou shalt heap coals of fire, that is, the fire of divine vengeance upon his head, by making his malice and hatred against thee more inexcusable. Learn hence, 1. That to conquer and overcome an enemy by love and kindness is a noble conquest, and a glorious victory to melt him down by obliging favors into a good affection. Learn, 2, that if an enemy, after such kind offices, will persevere in his enmity against us, the event will certainly be this: by our patience towards him and forbearance of him, we shall engage the wrath of God against him and heap coals of fire, that is, the divine vengeance, upon him. Verse 21. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Burkitt notes, learn hence that every Christian should not only take heed that he not be overcome of evil, but also labor and endeavor what in him lieth to overcome evil with good. Question: what are we to understand here by evil? Answer: any kind of injurious dealings from others, any mischief or ill turn which our neighbor has done us. Question: what is it to be overcome of evil? Answer: 1. When we dwell in our thoughts too much, too often, and too long upon the injuries and unkindnesses we have met with. This is as if a man that was to take down a bitter pill should be continually chomping of it and rolling it under his tongue. 2. We are overcome of evil when we are brought over to commit the same evil by studying to make spiteful returns by way of revenge for the injuries we have received. Question: wherein consists the duty and excellency of overcoming evil with good? Answer: it renders us like God, who does good to us daily, though we do evil against him continually. Hereby we imitate God in one of the choicest perfections of his divine nature. Hereby we overcome ourselves. Hereby we overcome our enemies and make them become our friends. Question: how should we overcome evil with good? Answer: by doing good for evil, by returning courtesies for injuries, by speaking well of others, although they speak hardly, yea, very ill of us.